Okay, we shall start now. So the topic for my today's webinar is how to have fun with writing tasks. Many people come to me and ask me that, I'm confused how to start, what to write, how to complete my essays, word count and everything. So I thought let's start with this. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself for those who don't know me. So I am a dentist by academic qualification who fell in love with words. I secured CLB level 10 in IELTS, and right now I'm working as a content specialist, and I aspire to be a best-selling author and IELTS mentor. Am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So writing tasks, basically there are two types. In academic training it is different, and in general training it is different. So if you are planning to go for higher studies abroad, then you might have to take the academic IELTS module. And if you are planning to settle there with PR, then you have to take general training. So in academic writing task, the first part is graph, diagram, map, or pie chart or line chart. And in task 2, you have an essay that asks your opinion or asks you to discuss something, compare advantages and disadvantages, or direct questions, or a problem and its solutions. And in general task, it is comparatively easier. You have a letter in the section 1, and uh, task 2 is similar to academic but easier topics. So today we shall mainly focus on writing task 1 of academic exam, and I shall tell you some generic tips how to score better bands in writing. So first of all, you have to paraphrase. Paraphrase is when you use synonyms for the word. Like if you are asked to represent or explain a graph, you use words like illustrate, demonstrate, represent, depict. So throughout the writing task 1 that you write, you have to use different words that mean the same thing. If you use one word throughout your article, it will not create a good impression on the examiner and it will affect your bands. Then second point is using relevant vocabulary. For example, if you are given a topic on travel, so you will write something like picturesque, splendid, mesmerizing, scenic beauty, lush green surroundings. So that all is relevant vocabulary related to the travel topic that you are given. Now, if you are given a topic like pollution, then you have to write relevant vocabulary related to that, like uh, air pollution, noise pollution, whatever causes that, industrial urbanization, and everything related to pollution. Then third point is use of collocations. Now many people confuse collocations with idioms. Idioms and collocations are two different things, and in IELTS you are mainly expected to use collocations. So what I mean by collocations is that you have to use words that go together. For example, if you are talking about 2015, 2016 and 2017 in a graph in IELTS task 1. So you can say that in a row, uh, something happened. Like for example, the population of Germany continued to increase from 2015 to 2017 in a row, right? Idioms is something that is not, uh, those words don't go together. Those are phrases. In Hindi, if you know, we call it muhavre. Now, muhavre and collocations are not same. I'll give you an example. When you say pull someone's leg, he pulled my leg too much. So pulled my leg is an idiom here. It is not a collocation. And in IELTS, you are not supposed to use idioms. So I'll give you some examples of collocations that you can use. In stark contrast, when you are comparing two things which are contradictory to each other, then you can use such collocations in stark contrast. Then some other examples of collocations that we might be using in our daily lives are keep a promise, carry on, uh, take a chance, make a mistake. So all these verbs go together with that noun. So make a mistake. Make is the verb, mistake is the noun. Take a chance. Take is the verb, chance is the noun. Fourth point is always write in paragraphs. Some people write a wall of text. Wall of text as in the entire article of 150 or 250 words that they have to write in task 1, task 2. They write in a single paragraph. It is it will affect your bands. So what you must do is you must break down your thoughts in a logical order and then prepare paragraphs to write the same. So fifth point is in continuation with the fourth point. You have to write cohesively that represents a logical flow. For example, if you are asked to compare two things, first you explain the first thing, and in the second paragraph you can explain the second thing. So that will give the examiner a clear picture of the fact that you have understood the question. Then sixth point, which is obvious, grammatical accuracy. You have to be careful with the phrases you've used, with the tenses you have used. For example, did many people use did not, went, did not, uh, did not, had. Now, did not is something that will always take the present tense. So, did not go, did not get, did not receive. All these are right usage. If you use did not received, it is wrong. Correct spellings. Now, many spellings you might not be very sure of, so avoid using those spellings in IELTS. Use the words you're very sure of. Do not try to show off that you know very high-fi words, you know very sophisticated language if you're not sure how to use it. Another thing is the use of capital words. Now, when you are talking about India or USA specifically in some article, you should always make sure that the first letter of India, like I, is always capital. The US. Many people write in US. In US is wrong. It should be in the US. Same goes for United Kingdom. It is in the United Kingdom. On the other hand, for India, we don't say in the India. It is in India. In US and United Kingdom, it is like in the United States and in the United Kingdom. That's why it takes the. No other places take the before that. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Next thing comes punctuations. Full stops, comma, colon, semicolon. You can use these punctuations, but you must make sure that you are using it at the right place. Full stop, obviously, we all know. Now, comma, when you are separating two words, like you are comparing two cities or three cities, then you have to use like India, comma, US, comma, like that. Complex sentences. This is another section in which people get too confused how to use complex sentences in IELTS. So whenever you want to say that you did something but still things went wrong, you can use the word although. And remember that although if you're using, it will never go with but. So let me give you an example. If I want to say, although I made all efforts, but I didn't succeed, that is wrong. If I want to say this, I'll say that although I worked really hard, I didn't succeed. So although I didn't try hard, although I tried hard, comma, I didn't succeed. So here you have to remember that you have to place comma in between. That is the right punctuation. Then the word however. If I want to say that usually I drink tea in the morning, however, sometimes I prefer coffee. So here, however, it works as a but it is a better word of presenting the thought. And then nevertheless. Nevertheless is same as however, you can use it alternate. Then on the other hand, when you are comparing two different things, then you use this on the other hand. In spite of work same as although, like in spite of telling her repeatedly, she still went to the hill station. So in spite of stopping her from doing something, she still did something. So that's the usage of in spite of. When you are using despite, it is used same like in spite of, but of won't go with despite. You must remember this. Many people write despite of doing something which is wrong, and but and we all know. And IELTS mainly also, I would also recommend you to use adverbs like usually, really. All these words leave a good impression on the examiner when you are giving IELTS in writing task. So now I will give you a sample explanation of a graph that you might be asked in writing task 1. So here is a graph that represents the coffee and tea buying and drinking habits in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Hobart, that are 5 cities in Australia. Now you have to explain this graph and summarize the information presented in it by selecting and reporting all the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So first paragraph, when you want to talk about this graph, the first paragraph in everything, like whether it is a bar chart, whether it is a line chart, whether it is a pie chart or a diagram or map, the first paragraph always will be paraphrasing the question. So what I mean by paraphrasing the question is, uh, this question, you have to write the question in your own words. For example, here I have written, the bar graph illustrates how people consume tea and coffee in 5 cities of Australia, namely Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Hobart, uh, etc. So the report considers data obtained in the last 4 weeks, right? Then second paragraph will be, I'll explain how people prefer to have coffee or tea in these Australian cities. So I'll write something like overall. See, I have used the word overall here to explain that what the overall graph explains to me. So overall, most of the people prefer to go to a cafe to have tea or coffee. Melbourne and Hobart topped the list with more than 60% people going to a cafe for tea or coffee during the last 4 weeks, right? So let's go back. Melbourne and Hobart. Can you see it is 60, it is above 60%. So I have written that overall most of the people prefer to go to a cafe and Melbourne and Hobart top the list. Next, I have written Sydney, Brisbane and Adelaide ranked third, fourth and fifth respectively. Now here I have made two mistakes. I have spelled Brisbane wrong and I have spelled Porth wrong. Now this will cut down my points. This will cut down my IELTS band score. So you have to be very careful whenever you are writing a spelling, whenever you are writing a city. If you have time, you must always go back and proofread what you have written. So here I made another silly mistake where I have written B as small. I have not capitalized the B in Brisbane, which is again wrong. So I should have capitalized B and I should have added E in Brisbane. Fourth, the spelling of fourth is F-O-U-R-T-H. F-O-R-T-H is wrong. F-O-R-T-H means a different thing. It means that you bring forward something, right? Now in the second paragraph, I have explained another aspect of the graph. In terms of buying coffee. Now here, in terms of, it is a collocation. These words go together. In terms of buying fresh coffee, Sydney and Melbourne had the maximum consumers, followed by Hobart. Adelaide and Brisbane had the minimum consumer, the fresh coffee. Let's go back and see. So here the middle portion, uh, sorry, um, the last part, the black colored part, that is fresh coffee. So I have written that Sydney and Melbourne top the list. And then I have talked about instant coffee. So on the other hand, I've used on the other hand because I'm contradicting. On the other hand, almost 54 people chose to buy instant coffee in Hobart. In Brisbane, 53% people bought instant coffee, while Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney had less than 50% of the population buying this type of coffee. Now, here, uh, what I could have written is I have written buy, bought, buying. So I could have either presented this word buy as purchase, chose to buy, or something like that. Or I have changed the verb form, chose to buy, bought, buying. So this tells the examiner about my grammatical range, that I know different verb forms and I can use them effectively. Like in the first sentence, I know that chose to buy. Second sentence I've written in past tense, people bought. And in the third sentence, I have used the verb buying. So it shows that I know how the verb forms change with the different words that are used along with it. Right? Now homework for you. This is a graph which actually shows the number of tourists visiting a Caribbean island. Now here what you can do is, like I started off my presentation, I told you in a row. You can use this phrase in this graph where you can explain that uh, something happened in a row. If you see the graph closely, visitors staying on the island stayed constant from 2013, 2014, 2015, right? So you can say that from 2013 to 2015, visitors stayed constant in the row, right? Now let's take up questions. Any questions?
Hello, ma'am. In which tense do we have to write the task one and task two in writing module? Is there any uh, appropriate tense for that, or we can use any tense for task one and task two?
You can use any tense, but it should be relevant. Like for example, if you can see the screen, right? You can see the graph.
Yeah.
So in this graph, they have exactly written that in the last 4 weeks. So when they have displayed the legend of the graph, they have written bought fresh coffee, bought instant coffee, and went to a cafe. So this gives you a hint that they are expecting you to write it in a past tense,
Okay.
right? That is something which will be dependent on the question you are asked. For example, in my IS exam, I was asked about the changing habits of people related to consuming packaged food in task 2. So
Okay.
I had to write it in the present tense and in the future tense and compare it with how people behaved in the past. So it is never that your entire article will be in one tense. Uh, it it won't be possible. In graphs, it is okay. You can write in past tense because this is all you are talking about last 4 weeks. But when you are asked to compare something or describe something or discuss the advantages and disadvantages of something which has evolved over time, you might have to use different forms of tenses like present tense, future tense, what you are expecting in the future, what was there in the past. So, like that. Anything else? I'll cover some other parts. I have not covered everything in this because it was going really too long. It was becoming too long and overwhelming. So I've tried to keep it concise. But yeah, obviously, it can go up to 1 hour, 2 hours if I describe all this in detail and if I tell you how you will do. So I think this graph that I've given you, you can write something on this and you can share it with me and I'll tell you where you need to improve. If you want, I'll share the screen on the Telegram group or I'll email you if you have filled the form. So I think that will help you to improve your writing.
Uh, Hi, ma'am. And one more question.
Yeah,
The graph that you like answered the graph in the second paragraph of that graph, after respectively word, do we need the full stop or a full stop?
yes, yes, we need the full stop. So
Okay,
that I
okay.
have purposely written for you to point out that full stop, that paragraph has a lot of mistakes. So Brisbane, fourth, and full stop, and in the next paragraph again, Sydney spelling is wrong. So all these things you have to be careful when you are writing your task 1 and 2. Any other questions? You can write in the chat window.
Okay. Like, can you tell me the uses of moreover in the sentences?
Yeah. Moreover, is something when you have to describe many advantages of a single thing. For example, if someone asks you that uh, why do you like pets? So basically, they are asking you advantages of having pets, right? So you can say that having pets gives you a positive environment. Moreover, having pets can keep you happy. Something like that. So moreover is when you want to build up on some thought. Like when you want to say multiple things, you can use moreover or furthermore. Such words are used when you want to build up on a thought and you have many things to say about a single thing.
Okay, okay. Moreover and however is a formal words, right? So we can't use it in speaking.
You can use in speaking also. Moreover, however, usually, all these words you can use in speaking. Like I gave you that example. I was asked in my speaking test that what do you prefer to have in the morning? So I said that usually I prefer tea, however, sometimes I prefer coffee. So, and in those times, you can always use however. So
Oh,
I'm sending you a chat link, sending a link in the chat for everyone. It is Cambridge 15 PDF from which you can practice. And if you need help, you can always get back to me. Any other questions?
no, no.
Okay. So should I end the call, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, I think I'll have another webinar. You got the link, right, in the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So have a good night and have a nice Sunday, everyone. Thank you for joining and thank you for your attention. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.
you.